Well, oh, what a feeling. A European away day. I've come up here to record my video. There's a smile on my face. There's a spring in my step. I didn't expect that. I bet you didn't either. Atalanta nil, Celtic nil. Yes, it's a draw. Yes, it's only a point. But what a point it is for Celtic. What a game. What a performance. And it just generally, what a feeling. What a feeling. We didn't get pumped. Hallelujah. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I am elated. I am very, very happy. And I know that there will already be some people of certain supports giving it all the patter about you're celebrating a draw like that. It's pathetic. You'd think you've won the game. I do. That's exactly how I feel. And I don't care. Have that. What a result for Celtic. We know how the story is away from home in Europe. And we know what it's like when we go up against the best of the best. This is a side who won the Europa League last year. One of the top sides in Europe at this moment in time. One of the best teams in Italy. The side who ended Bayer Leverkusen's magnificent generational undefeated run. A very, very good team. Celtic were off the back of a 7-1 pumping in Dortmund only a matter of weeks ago. The questions were asked. The jury was out for Brendan Rodgers and his squad tonight. Could they get a result? Could they just simply avoid European humiliation? For a lot of Celtic fans, including myself, tonight became the bare minimum of just not losing by 4, 5, 6, 7 goals. That's where Celtic fans have got to in Europe away from home. Brendan Rodgers had to do something tonight which suggested there was change, that there was a difference. And I feel like he's kind of bluffed us, Brendan, you cheeky wee minx, telling us that you're only going to change the way that you play, telling us you would go out and all guns blazing and lose games in the way that you want to lose them. Not only have you not lost tonight, Brendan, sir, Saint Brendan, that wasn't what we usually do. It was a lot better, a lot more organised, a lot more mature and professional, I would say, of Celtic. They went in realising that, you can't just go and attack a team like Atalanta and expect to escape defeat. You've got to be more pragmatic. You've got to do things differently. Brendan Rodgers, the hero that he is, bluffed us all. He made the changes that he had to make. And listen, here, I already know there will be some people coming on here tonight into my comments section, across your social medias, complaining about aspects of that game. I know that there will be people saying that the team weren't as ambitious as they should be, that we should be creating more chances. I know that people will be on the backs of certain players, perhaps the back of the manager, people saying it's only a point, what use is a point. There will people be moaning for the sake of moaning, because our support's full of greeting-faced bastards sometimes. It's as simple as that. Tonight, I think I echo the thoughts of many a Celtic fan as the full-time whistle went literally 3 or 4 minutes ago as time of recording. I am absolutely buzzing with that. And so we should be. It feels like, and I think it was Neil Lennon, it was either Neil Lennon or Johan Mialbi, I caught it as I was walking up the stair, who called it a bonus point for Celtic tonight. And that's exactly how it feels. When this draw was done, back at the end of August, and we got given our games, and then we were given the running order of the games, I said 3 points from that opening 3 would be magic. Because 2 of them were away games to Dortmund and Atalanta, the Champions League finalists and the Europa League winners. I was only expecting 3 points against Slovan Bratislava. Not only have they got a point tonight, but more importantly, they have restored the faith that Celtic can go away from home in Europe and do something. That they can go away from home in Europe and go toe-to-toe. That they can go away from home in Europe and ultimately not come back 7 goals worse off than when they first arrived. That was a performance that we needed for so many reasons, for reassurance, and just for our general hopes of trying to qualify from this campaign. Let's talk about it. Listen, if you're coming here for some sort of great breakdown on what we've seen from Celtic tonight, you're coming to the wrong place. I couldn't care how Celtic got a point tonight, and I certainly wasn't paying attention to the nuances of what we were doing as the game unfolded. Towards the last 20 minutes, half an hour, I was biting my nails, I was crossing my fingers, my toes, and everywhere else in my body, hoping that we could just walk away with that point we were sitting on. It became a tough watch as Atalanta got more and more into it, but we faced a side who were relentless tonight. And for us, listen, we're so used to Celtic playing beautiful attacking football, scoring goals. Domestically, we have been spoiled over the years for performances that some teams could only dream of. And that's what happens when you dominate your domestic league. Sadly, that doesn't always translate into Europe, and the shoe was on the other foot tonight. We became the Livingstons, we became the Ross Counties, we became the Hamiltons, we became the side who needs to camp in a little bit and hope and ride on your luck. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that if it means that we walk away from places like we did tonight with a point. You heard the atmosphere, you saw the quality of the players, you seen the relentlessness of what we went up against. Celtic had no right leaving there with a point tonight. We really should have lost the game, but we didn't. And this is where I brought up a moment ago. I said I don't want to see people getting on the back of specific players. I know that there was some players who weren't to their optimum abilities tonight. Guys like Arne Engels, who I think have a lot more to offer. Guys like, I think, Adam Ida, who could have maybe done a bit more. But I'm not going to sit here and say they didn't do enough, because tonight's performance is on the back of not any individual. It's on the back of a team performance that have led us to where they managed to leave the park tonight. It had to be everybody chipping in to make sure that happened. We looked knackered come the end of the game, and no wonder, trying to keep up with what Atalanta were doing in the game. They were just relentless. I'll keep using that word to drill it into you. Every single time we got a break of the ball, yeah, it might have been carelessness that cost us the possession, but they were right back at us. Another chance, ball into the box, left hand side, right hand side. They just kept throwing it at us. At times in the game, they had one player back and they had their other 9 outfield players up at Celtic's box in the final third, because they obviously thought that they were the better side and they would find that goal eventually. If they just kept trying, they'd find the goal they needed to take the break in the game and things would be fine. They had everybody up and Celtic had to deal with that throughout the entirety of the game. We were jiggered come the end of it. Absolutely jiggered. And that's off the back of a full team performance. That's off the back of Kasper Schmeichel, Alistair Johnson, Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, Alex Valley, Cal McGregor, Engels, Ryu Hatate, Nicholas Kuhn, Adam Ida, and Dyson Maeda. And then Luke McCowan, and then Kyogo, James Forrest, Luis Palma. And I forgot who the other substitute is, and I feel terrible for it now. Who was it? Did I say Paulo Bernardo? I don't know. It's off the back of every single player who was on that park tonight. So you might have wee things, and I'm not saying you're not allowed to criticise or pick up on certain things that went wrong for players or things that could have been done better. Of course things could have been done better, and certain individuals in moments have mistakes. But to get a performance like that tonight, the team has to be on the same page. The team need to be working hard as a unit. And that is one of the best team performances I have seen from Celtic in Europe in the past 5 or so years. Because on other days, and even 3 weeks ago, we conceded 4 or 5 tonight, but we just kept going and going. We put up with it. And you have to ride your luck a little bit sometimes. They could have scored a couple of them. Kasper Schmeichel was forced to make a couple of big saves. There was a couple of last-ditch tackles, I remember, from Johnston, Trusty, Scales in there. But at the end of the day, it's all part of the game. As Joe Hart very importantly said at one point in that game, you earn your luck. And Celtic earned more than their fair share of luck tonight. I think that Celtic done what they had to do in terms of the way they set up. The most frustrating part of the game, and I think it was extremely more prevalent in the first half than it was the second. Second half, it was a case of just having to hang on, and if you can't accept that, then God knows what you're expecting, right? But more in the first half, Celtic did have chances. Celtic had a number of times and occasions where they could have been quicker on the counter, I think. I think there was sluggish at times and also very slack. There was just bits where we just weren't precise with what we had to do. We didn't have that killer instinct in us, and we'd give the ball right back to Atalanta off the back of a very threatening counter-attacking opportunity. And that was where the only frustration came in the game for me. And as I said, it was far more evident in the first half than it was the second. I think that Atalanta gave us more opportunity in the first half. But, there was moments where, we would bear down on their defence, and it would be Kuhn, Maeda, or either whoever was on the ball, and then a pass would just fuck it all up. Pardon my French. A pass would stop it in its tracks. And there was that sluggishness that kind of stopped Celtic from taking advantage of moments where maybe Atalanta were higher up the park and we could have done something more. And that is frustrating, of course it is. Tonight we could have been talking about an even more historic Champions League away game. We could have been talking about winning the game if we got those chances. But, I think it's all part and parcel with the full-time result. I think that if we did end up scoring, it might have been answered back. It's not as simple as what you think it is in these moments. So everything happens for a reason in my eyes, and we didn't take advantage of those chances, but it led to us leaving with a point tonight. And I would have chewed the hand off any man, woman or child who offered me a point tonight, to be quite honest. So I'm not going to cry about it. But that was where the only frustrations came in the game for me, I think, was maybe that sluggishness in the counter at some points. But Atalanta are a very, very good side. And you've seen that, especially big Isaac Hien at the back, who I just thought was brilliant for them. It was so hard to break them down. And you've got to remember that as sluggish as we were at points and as careless as we can be with the ball, you're also going up against a top side, and it's not as easy as what you might think it is. Hence the reason none of us are professional football players. I need to give him his moment in the sun tonight, and I want to kiss you, mate. Austin Trusty. What a performance. And I'm sorry to stick any of my loyal viewers in it, but there was a few people on the pre-match stream tonight saying that Trusty was going to be the downfall of Celtic. I remember one comment in particular saying Trusty will cost us the game tonight, mark my words. Well, Austin Trusty was man of the match for me tonight. Unfucking believable. And I want to give him his moment. I have stuck by you, Austin, son. I have been here in times of hardship and criticism. I have tried to defend you and urged for fans' patience. This is why you remain patient with players, ladies and gentlemen. You don't bin a player off after a couple of games and say that they're not good enough. And listen, I'm going to flip the coin a minute and say, that's not me saying that Austin Trusty's the next Cameron Carter-Vickers. That's not me saying that Austin Trusty should be in the team every single week now. Because I'm not a reactive fan. I'm not a knee-jerk reactor. But that's what a lot of our support have become in this modern age. And it pisses me off because tonight, Austin Trusty has put in a fucking blinder of a performance. I think he saved us on a number of occasions. And shout out to his defensive partners as well, who I think done a cracking job. Liam Scales, I'm not going to just go by and say he didn't do anything, because he did. He was great again. But Austin Trusty for me was superb. Absolutely brilliant. Heading away every single cross that came in. Holding off his attacking threats. Being in the right positions, communicating well, just generally had a fantastic game, and I love it. Prove those doubters wrong, big man. Do it for me. If not for yourself, do it for me. Fucking loved it. And the same Alex Barry, I thought had a great game. Defensively, still imperfections. I think there was a lot of occasions where there was a man out there on that right-hand side of the park for them and so much space, and I was thinking, where's Bally? But then it would happen over the other side. It was clearly a tactical decision from Brendan Rodgers, and it worked in the end to give those players who were hugging the bylines, who were hugging the side of the park. Brendan Rodgers clearly didn't want Bally or Johnston to go out and hug them back. He didn't want them to go and stick out too far wide, and maybe that's because if they got, if the ball got taken round them, if they were sold down the river, were exposed. And I think that was maybe a very clever tactical decision from the manager. But I thought on the ball, Raleigh was one of the best players in the park tonight. I think he looked very comfortable. I think his passing was good. I think his moving forward with the ball was good. Another guy who, once again, after a couple of games, was binned by a lot of Celtic supporters. I think arguably him and Trusty were two of my best players in the park tonight. Patience is key sometimes, ladies and gents. Patience is key. And we tightened up in the areas that we had to. I urged for us to tighten up in that midfield area. I said that Engels maybe needs to drop back a little bit with Callum McGregor, and that seemed to happen. We've seen Real Hatate sometimes even advance up the park ahead of Adamida. I think that we've done the things. We learned our lessons from Dortmund, and it's a sign of a world-class manager. It's the sign of someone who is willing to take on board the criticisms and change things where he has to, even though he might have bluffed us in the media that he wasn't going to. The signs were evident there that we had picked up on what went catastrophically wrong in Dortmund. One thing that I will say, and I think is a big talking point that we need to go through, and I don't want to keep us here all day for the post-match reaction, but at half-time there seemed to be a big opinion that Kyogo should have started the game, and I'm not as passionate as I am on other points. That I think there's a case for it. What I'm saying is, I'm not going to sit and say that you're wrong for thinking that. Absolutely not. I think that you have a very compelling case to make that Kyogo should have started that game tonight. But what I will say is a lot of what we were doing in the first half, I think, was made possible by just the sheer presence of Adamida. And I don't think that, people are going, oh, Kyogo would have done more with the ball coming to him if it was him rather than Ida. But Kyogo doesn't play like that. Kyogo doesn't get asked to play like that, and I don't think he can do a lot of what he does. I think they're two very different players, and they've got their qualities and their strengths. I think that if Kyogo starts that game, we don't see as ambitious balls out from Kasper Schmeichel. We don't see as ambitious balls out from Rio Hatate and Callum McGregor. I think there was a very purposeful decision for Ida to start the game and for us to play like that. And people saying that, Kyogo, sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. People saying that Kyogo should have started instead. I don't think we would have attacked the game in the same way when we did have those chances to attack. So, yeah, for me, I think that the decisions all made sense. And ultimately, the manager's been proven right by that with the full-time result. So, but listen, a credit to every man on that part tonight. I can't make it any more fucking clear that I don't think there's anybody that I'm willing to give criticism, because without the performance of each and every single one of those players tonight, we don't walk away with a point. I'm just elated. I'm so happy. It sets us up so nicely now for the next couple of games. It takes a little bit of pressure off that Leipzig game. Another game where now I was expecting going in to lose, but with the performance tonight, adding in the Celtic Park aspect of the game, there's every chance we could get a point, and it would feel like a bonus point again. I said this in my stream last night. When the group was drawn, there was 4 games I expected us to win and 4 games I expected us to lose. The 4 I expected to lose was Dortmund, Atalanta, Leipzig and Aston Villa. And right now, we've drawn one of them out of the 2 so far. So we're in a really good position in my eyes. And I think this is now a time for us to rejoice in some positivity. This is the reason I made that video at the weekend. And people were saying, well, a lot of people were agreeing with what I was saying, which I'm glad to see. But a lot of people saying, well, you can't just be arrogant in your point of view. People are allowed to be critical. And I get that, I understand that. But not critical to the point where we're saying we're shite and that the things are going down the pan. Very clearly tonight we showed how good a side we are. People saying that the squad was a broken pub team. Broken pub teams don't go to Atalanta and get a draw. I tell you that for fucking nothing. So, get in. I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted. Austin Trusty, I fucking love you. Mwah. Big kiss for you. Anyway, like and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about it more. I'm going to go and I was going to say I'm going to go have a drink. I'm not going to go have a drink. I'm going to go and play Football Manager or something. What a result. What a result. See you next time.